Hi, my name is Ray Karu, and my job is to get my hands dirty. I work with wood. I restore and refinish wood in older buildings. This possible contract came to my attention last summer, and I came up and took a look through the windows, and I noticed all the beautiful woodwork all around. A lot of it painted, though. And after some negotiations with the owners, I was contracted in October to begin. The first thing I noticed was all the different species of wood. In this room, for example, the door is elm, and elm is carried out through the vestibule. The baseboards in the windows are bird's eye maple, and the floor here is oak. Most of this was in really bad condition. It would have been almost easier to paint them, but I thought with my techniques and methods, I could bring this wood back to life, which I think we've accomplished. The original finish in this house was orange shellac, which was quite common in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. And I decided that I would use the same products. So when I cleaned all the wood, I applied orange shellac, and then I did a light toning to hide the defects and to blend all the colors together. Now this floor, for example, it was in really bad shape. So we had it sanded, and I applied 1 coat of shellac. Now shellac is a very, very difficult and tricky finish to apply. You can't roll it. So I was on my hands and knees, and you have to brush all the way through. When the shellac dried, it was sanded with a 320, cleaned, and then a clear coat of satin water-based varathane or floor varnish, which was a really good product. And after all that had cured, it usually takes about a week or so, then I apply a second coat of shellac, which brings the warm amber tones and brings the wood to life more or less. And when that was dried, then I put on a very heavy coat of a semi-gloss floor varnish. And I'm quite happy with the way they've turned out. Now in the great room and kitchen, the original flooring was all maple. And a lot of it had to be replaced because there were big voids, and there was a laundry room there once, all kinds of damage. So after the new maple was put in and all of the boards were sanded, you could see the brand new maple being very, very light, but the older maple having its aged patina. So I had a section off or separate the new maple from the old and give the new maple an undertone so that when I applied the shellac, they would be quite similar. So I did the same process in there as well. And upstairs, the floors are all pine. And there I just did a really good coat of shellac, a coat of satin, and then a final coat of semi-gloss. I didn't need a second coat of shellac there because pine is much softer. It absorbs the shellac and gives it that warm patina as well. The stairs were a challenge. They were all black, full of holes, and we hand scraped them all, sanded them, and we applied shellac. I used shellac pretty well everywhere here. And they came out quite nice. The front door and the kitchen door were both painted. I think about 4 coats of paint. The transom windows as well, and so were the frames. We stripped them all down and refinished them. Merity, my assistant, said to me that she loves to strip the wood to get to the point where she can actually sand it and she can smell the old wood. And she said, well, this old wood is breathing again. And so it is. It's been a lot of fun. The upstairs hallway, the doors were an old faux wood grain, quite whimsical, but very effective. And we wanted to preserve those, but they were so badly damaged I had to decide whether to try and just fix the original finish, which I think I've done, but in some areas I've had to do a similar full wood grain. The baseboards and the casings in the upstairs are full wood grain, so I've tried to tone all the components so that there's a similar color throughout. And I do that with my pigment toning method. And that particular method has helped me with many, many projects over the years. So beyond just finishing the woodwork and restoring what we could, I think the attention to detail comes in other areas like the heating grates, for example. This was a real mess. It had all kinds of paint on it. So we stripped it and wire brushed it and cleaned it and sprayed it with a flat black spray for iron. These windows, these three sets right here, are original windows. They've all been stripped, repaired, and we put in new pulls, so they're totally functional. And I think they've come out quite nice, and they work. That's the main thing. Even the hardware. And that's another area that has been a lot of fun here. Another interesting area of the work here has been the original hardware. Most of it was all painted. A lot of it was kind of like that. And what we've done is stripped off any of the paint that we could, and we polished the plates and the knobs. Even the screws are original, and they were all polished because you can't get these kind of screws anymore. So I think it's quite interesting. The door's a bit dirty, but you can see how beautiful the original hardware is. It makes a difference. So this is the front entrance door. It had 4 coats of paint on it. This door is made of maple. No, sorry, this one is pine. The casing here is elm. It also had 4 coats of paint. This is the original hardware which was on it, painted. We cleaned that up. And we actually have a key that works so we can open the door. And here we have the nice detail of the restored hardware and the new front door, and the casing outside too matches the door. I'm quite pleased with the way this turned out. The windows were a bit of a challenge. These are brand new Jaldwin windows, excellent quality, and they're a pine on the inside. And our carpenter installed them, and he had to use poplar to build the frame out. And this was original elm, and this was stripped as well. So was the ledge and the detail under here. So our challenge was then we had 3 different woods that we had to match with the pine, poplar, elm. The baseboard too, we had to make that match so that everything was uniform. These are some of the challenges that we had to face, but they were fun. I quite enjoy this piece here. This is a gas fireplace, and the challenge here was to create a mantle that would suit the entire character of this room. And Chris did a wonderful job. Here he's used some original casing trim, which you see on the windows. It's been used down here as well. And then all the other components are poplar and a bit of pine. And so we had to kind of blend all the woods together and make it look like it's all part of one unit. I think it came out very nice. I like it. It's simple and elegant, and it looks like it's been here for 100 years. I've been doing this kind of work for over 20 years. I've done many, many projects. In Toronto, some of the major ones were the Gladstone Hotel. We won a Heritage Award for that. the Campbell House Museum, George Brown House, William Lyon Mackenzie House, the Spadina House Museum, and many private residences, and some of which have been in magazines such as Canadian Architecture and Design. The one house on Walmer Road is on the cover of the book called Old Toronto Houses. I've done projects in Hamilton, Winnipeg, Yellowknife, Delaney. So I've been, around quite a bit. But I have to say, with all the private homes that I've worked in, that this has been one of the most enjoyable contracts I've had the pleasure to be involved with. The layout of the house, the design, and the way that the owners have decided to make everything work. It's so well designed, including the upstairs and the third floor. So I just have to say that it's been a great pleasure to do this work. And I'm going to be finished this week, I think.